Los Angeles, 1985, a city known for its glitz and glamour, now shrouded in a veil of fear. The air hung heavy, thick with humidity and fear. Each night brought a new wave of anxiety as the city braced itself for the unknown. The sun, usually a welcome companion, felt oppressive, its light unable to penetrate the growing darkness. The days were long, but the nights felt even longer, because night was no longer a time for rest, for peace. It was a time of dread, where every shadow seemed to hide a threat. It was the devil's playground, and he was out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. The Night Stalker, a name that sent shivers down the spine of every Angeleno. The city, usually alive with the pulse of dreams, held its breath. The vibrant nightlife had turned into a ghostly silence. Every creak of a floorboard, every rustle of leaves outside a window sent chills down spines. No one was safe. Families huddled together, hoping the night would pass without incident. Their once vibrant city had become a hunting ground. Streets that were once filled with laughter and life were now deserted, abandoned to the terror of the night. The reign of the Night Stalker had begun. News headlines screamed of his latest atrocities, and the police worked tirelessly, but the fear remained. The summer of terror was far from over. Richard Ramirez was not a creature of myth. He was a real person, a living nightmare that haunted the streets of Los Angeles. He was flesh and blood, but his deeds were pure nightmare. His actions were so horrific that they seemed to come straight out of a horror movie. With vacant eyes and a chilling grin, he moved through the city unseen, a predator stalking his prey. He was a shadow, a ghost that could strike at any moment. His victims were chosen at random, their lives shattered by his sudden, brutal intrusions. No one was safe, and the fear was palpable. He didn't discriminate, young or old, rich or poor, it didn't matter to him. Everyone was a potential target, and that made him even more terrifying. His motive was chaos. His weapon of choice varied: a gun, a knife, a tire iron, anything that could inflict pain, could steal a life. He was unpredictable, and that unpredictability was his greatest weapon. Every attack sent shockwaves through the city, each more horrific than the last. The media frenzy only added to the terror as people watched in horror, wondering if they would be next. The boogeyman had come to life. He was no longer a story told to scare children. He was real, and he was out there lurking in the shadows. His first known victim, Jenny Vinco, was found in her apartment on June 28, 1984. She was 79 years old, stabbed repeatedly, her throat slashed. It was a crime scene that chilled even seasoned detectives. At first, it seemed like an isolated incident, a tragic, senseless act of violence. But then the killings continued, each more brazen, more savage. The killer entered homes in the dead of night, leaving a trail of blood and terror in his wake. His reign of terror had truly begun. Los Angeles was caught in the grip of a nightmare. The press, hungry for a story, dubbed him the Night Stalker. The name fit. He was a phantom, a spectre, appearing in the darkness and vanishing without a trace. His crimes dominated the headlines, fueling the growing hysteria. People were afraid to be alone in their homes. They armed themselves, installed new locks, slept with the lights on. Parents kept their children close, their faces etched with worry. The city that never slept was losing sleep. Fear, like a virus, spread from house to house, infecting every corner of Los Angeles. Section 5, A City on Edge. The police were under immense pressure to catch the Night Stalker. A special task force was formed. Every available resource was thrown into the investigation. The city held its breath. Detectives worked tirelessly, following every lead, every whisper. But the Night Stalker was a ghost. He left few clues, vanishing into thin air after each attack. Frustration mounted as the body count rose. The city's collective fear became palpable. Los Angeles, once a beacon of hope and opportunity, was shrouded in a blanket of terror. Section 6, Glimmers of Hope. Then came a breakthrough. a survivor, a young woman who had stared into the eyes of the Night Stalker and lived to tell the tale. She provided a description. More importantly, she remembered something crucial. The assailant had touched her car. He left his fingerprints. Finally, the police had something tangible to work with. They ran the prints through their database. A match, Richard Ramirez, a name to the face of evil. The city dared to hope again. Section 7, The Devil's Due. The manhunt intensified. Ramirez's picture was plastered everywhere. Newspapers, television, wanted posters on every corner. He became the most infamous face in America. The eyes of the city, of the nation, were watching. On August 31st, 1985, after a tense standoff with police, he was captured. Not by the authorities, but by a group of angry East Los Angeles residents. They recognized him from his mugshot, chased him down and held him until the police arrived. The devil had fallen. Section 8. Scars on the City. Los Angeles, a city known for its glitz and glamour, was about to face a dark chapter that would leave an indelible mark on its history. The trial was a media circus. The courthouse was swarmed with journalists eager to capture every moment of the sensational case. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled furiously as Ramirez, unrepentant and smirking, reveled in the attention. His demeanor was chilling, a stark contrast to the gravity of his crimes. He was convicted on 43 counts, including 13 counts of murder. The courtroom was tense as the judge read the verdict, each word echoing the horror of his actions. He was sentenced to death. The sentence was a relief to many, but it couldn't erase the pain and fear he had inflicted. But the scars he left on Los Angeles ran deep. The once vibrant streets now held an air of unease. Shadows seemed darker, and the night felt more ominous. The fear lingered long after Ramirez was behind bars. The city had changed. Innocence lost. Security tightened. People looked over their shoulders, wary of the darkness that had once seemed harmless. The carefree spirit of Los Angeles dimmed, replaced by a newfound awareness of vulnerability. Playgrounds were empty and homes were fortified with new security measures. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, had shown them the face of evil. His image, forever etched in the minds of the city's residents, served as a grim reminder of the terror he brought. And that face would forever be seared into the city's memory. Los Angeles, though resilient, would never be the same, its spirit forever marked by the shadows of its past.